think I learned my lesson, and I'm not gonna let you out of my sight.
Hey guys, welcome back to the next round of the San Andreas Touring Car Championship Season 3. This is round 5, Zan-Cudochamps. A different track to the F1 version because we have not the first hairpin that is on the F1 version. We just take a left-hander there, a fast turn. And also the pits have a different location, so a few changes have been made to the track to fit the style of the San Andreas touring cars. And also for me this is basically round 3 because I missed rounds 3 and 4. So I have to make up quite a few points to the leader, Doom Penguin. He is starting right behind me in 6th position. In front of me is Super Stepper, Madero, Story VS and Serve Me Noodles. And the start is about to happen right now. We'll also take a look at O'Darn's point of view. He is in the top right there. You can watch his race in his perspective on some occasions. And here I have a good chance to actually might be even able to go into first, but Maderos closes me off. I'll have to slow down to not cause a crash, so I'm going into 3rd position after the first few turns. Also behind us quite a huge bunch up, so Maderos, Super Step and myself had a good chance to create a small gap right off the bat. And here I tried to get a run on Maderos onto the uphill section because the Banshee just develops great power, like a consistent power on the uphill sections. But as you see, the Bravado Valera also has a good acceleration, so I wasn't able to pass him. And here we have our first safety car for this race, which brought us all together again. And here we go onto the main straight, and once we hit the main straight the race is actually open, but this caused quite some confusion. As you can see here, Super Stepper accelerates and then slows down again, which was really confusing for me, and Doom Penguin takes advantage of this situation, goes up into the front. And also O'Darn, he's coming up the inside of Maderos but takes him out. He should have released some gas there to not cause the crash, so that was quite unfortunate for Maderos. Lucky for me I didn't get taken out, so I'm still in 3rd, but now I have a problem because Doom Penguin in the fastest car on this track, the Serrano, is up front in front of Super Stepper, so 2 of the fastest guys in front of me. And right behind me is also Story VS for the Sprung team. Really up my bumper to try to overtake me for 3rd position. It's gonna be a tough challenge to keep him behind me. On the uphill section I should be quite good because the Serrano is downgraded and my car, the Banshee, is fully upgraded, so the Serrano might not have the power to get past. And here we actually have a 2nd safety car, so another crash caused the 2nd safety car in the back of the grid. Somebody had to respawn actually, and then we had another safety car. And here we come across the start-finish straight again. So race is open from this point. I'll try to get a good run on Super Stepper and Doom Penguin, but as you see, Banshee not as good at accelerating onto top speed, so the Carbo there definitely has some advantage, and also the Serrano. But at least I can hold my speed and not get passed by Story VS, who is right behind me. And O'Darn in the top screen, he's in 7th position right now, behind Stocking there in the Sultan and Jeffrey in the Valera. So they are having a good battle. You can watch that too from his perspective, because O'Darn, he will play quite a big role in the middle of the race here when myself and him will have a battle, so that will be quite interesting. So lap 3, 3rd position between Super Stepper and Story VS. O'Darn in the top just past Stocking and goes into 6th position, so just a few positions behind the leaders here, not too far away. Now coming up to Jeffrey. And myself, I'm just following Super Stepper, trying to keep up with the pace of the 2 guys in front of us, not losing too much ground to Doom Penguin, who definitely is the fastest here. And there, O'Darn, quite unlucky here for him, been taken out by Grim Reaper, teammate of Doom Penguin in the Aguri Insurance team. So then this lag hit cost O'Darn quite some time. He's now in 9th position, so he lost about 3 positions due to that crash, and he then decides to just take a pit stop. Unfortunately, again, he gets stuck behind another Bravado, but he gets lucky and passes them right after the pits because the other car went over the construction site props there. Unlucky for that guy, but good for O'Darn, who is now in 12th position, 1 pit stop up against everybody else. And here you see Story VS. He really had a great pace on this race. He was always up my bumper, really close. I had a tough time to pass him, not pass him, but keep him behind me. And I'll definitely had to give everything to keep the Serrano behind, because that car is just so good in the turns. It just has much more traction and a better turning angle, which most likely shows in this downhill section, where I have to use as much space as I have available with the Banshee to keep as much speed up. And here the other cars can just take different angles and different lines to be a bit faster, but on the uphill section again the Banshee was really good. So it's just differences in cars, so that's a good thing about the SATCC, that we have different cars with different strengths. By lap 4, I'll decide to not get bothered by Story anymore, go into the pits, but then he bumps me a bit. I go over those green and blue things from the fruit stand, which unfortunately spin me out, go into Story there, who somehow caused that a bit. And then, unlucky for him, he gets stuck on one of those fruit stands. So bad pit stop for both of us, because without that incident I would have clearly been in front of Jeffrey after the pit stop, and now I'm behind Jeffrey in 4th position, have to fight with him. And how this fight turns out, you will see shortly. Here I'm closing on Jeffrey, try to go onto his inside there, but that turn is just not made for overtaking. This one isn't too, you just want to stick as close to the guy in front of you. Here, brake early and not go into the rear like I did there. That was unfortunate, but the Valera has even worse turning ability than the Banshee, so I should have thought about that before going into the turn, even leaving more space between Jeffrey and myself, just to give myself enough room to actually get a good exit and pass him on the uphill straight. Still, I managed to pass him here, but I just don't get the turn right. Jeffrey gets a better turn, makes a cutback, and goes up front again onto the downhill section. Here, I go onto his side for the next turn, so side by side in the downhill section. This was really a tense situation right here. And then he goes in front of me again on the bridge. He hits the outside a bit. I have some overspeed coming onto the turn towards the start finish straight, and here he goes to the outside, then somehow loses the car. I think there might have been a lag hit, spinning him out, hitting my rear, and it was really frustrating at this moment, losing so much time to this situation. He then let me pass. I'm in 4th, but now Clouded McShort is in front of me, and this really wasn't a good situation for myself. By lap 8, nothing had changed in the positions, but I'm closing on Cloud McShort and then hit this tire stack like a complete beginner. Oh my god, what was I thinking in that situation? I wasn't really concentrated. I was just focusing on not getting passed by Grim Reaper and Story, and by being too focused on those two guys not closing on me, I was pushing too hard, not thinking about my race, just keeping it consistent. And then I make that mistake and hit the tire stack, and now I'm behind Story VS and Grim Reaper. So now I have to try to pass those two guys again. And also you see my front wheel completely bent and broken, so my Banshee is not in good shape anymore. I decide to take a pit stop in this lap. Maybe I can pass these guys before, or I just try to follow them, because the Serranos, as I said, had a good pace on this track. You see here, I had 22-second gap to Superstepper, the leader of the race. That is a huge gap, definitely not be able to close that anymore if nothing special happens, because the pit stop takes about 7 seconds on this track, so he will only lose 14 seconds when he takes 2 pit stops. And myself, I still have to do one pit stop, so he definitely will stay or will be in front of me after he does his pit stops. So here Story vs and Grim Reaper pull away from me because my Banshee wasn't really in good shape for the downhill section where you need perfect turning ability with a car that is so understeery already. So I decide to go into the pits by lap 9, take my second pit stop, and when I get out of the pits, here you see O'Darn's point of view. He comes, or I go out of the pit and he's now right behind me in 7th position. I'm in 6th. And the good thing is, if you look at the map in front of me, there's like a huge gap with nobody in front of me. So I have quite a good chance to get in some clean laps finally, to just close some time on the guys in front of me who still have to do their pit stops. So Grim Reaper and Story vs are still candidates to being passed by me. O'Darn now right behind me, and you can see the differences in lines you have to take. With the Banshee, an understeering car with good acceleration but quite heavy, and the Comet also downgraded. This car is downgraded to engine number 2 and transmission number 3, so quite a heavy downgrade. But the turning angle of the car just makes up for that quite a bit. Maybe the engine upgrade is a bit too hard. Maybe we should go to 3.3, but we have to leave that up to the event host to decide on that. And here you can see the Comet just takes such different lines than myself in the Banshee. Here I have to release off the gas to get the turn right, because I just don't have the turning ability. And Darn, he can just follow me in the Comet with much tighter lines, which are eventually faster. But he just lacks the top speed on the main straight, which you will see right here when we are going down the main straight. But then you see this, we have a third safety car in this race because somebody on the track had to respawn, and the rule was respawn will cause a safety car. So by lap 11 we are all bunched up again. I'm following Grim Reaper, Story vs, Cloud Make Short, Doom Penguin, who is in 2nd currently, and Super Stepper in 1st. Interesting about the situation is that Super Stepper and Cloud Make Short in 1st and 3rd haven't done any pit stops, so those two guys are basically out of the race. They still have to do their 2 pit stops. Doom Penguin and myself, and also Grim Reaper, we have done 2 pit stops, so we don't have to go into the pits anymore. And Story vs, I think he has done 1 pit stop. So we come up the first turn here, and then this happens. Cloud Make Short, Story vs, Grim Reaper hits the inside, takes out those 2 guys, allowing me to go into 3rd position. So that was a really good situation for myself, going into 3rd after actually being 6th with a 30-second gap to the leader. So this safety car, as bad as I think it was in regards of rules, as good as it was for my race. So I made up so much time to this safety car. I think I would have never been able to actually go onto the top 3 again with a normal race. So this was, as I said, really good for me and my team to get some points after missing race number 3 and 4 last 2 weeks ago. We also see O'Darn. He's now in 12th position because he had an incident with Bebo, which was quite controversial. If you want to go back, you can see that it was at the first turn. He was behind Bebo and Bebo broke, and then some lag or whatever it was caused a crash between those two, which sent O'Darn back to 11th position now. So really a horrible race for O'Darn, who was fighting for 6th with me. And that was basically it for the race. The last couple of laps were just me hot lapping against Doom. He didn't gain time on me, I didn't gain time on him, so basically an equal race. But then in the last lap we had another safety car, so 4 safety cars in one race, which is way too much. And this is also gonna be changed for the next race weekend. We're gonna have less safety cars because these just disturb the race too much. And it's more about safety cars than actual racing. But the finish was Doom Penguin finishing in front of myself in 2nd. Then we have I think Story VS in 3rd. Yeah, Medeiros in 4th. Good recovery from that crash after the first safety car. Then Bebo Castadu and Odorn in 6th. Also good recovery after the crash with Bebo. My teammate DNL Jackson in 7th. So good result for Tiki Lala. And I hope you enjoyed this race, and I'll see you for round 6 on Sandy Shores GP.